Here in the West, we're living with the best bonanza. Gun and a rope and a hat full of hope. We planted our family tree. Boom, 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 boom. You know, some people get intrusive thoughts to, like, push their little brother too hard on the swing to see what would happen. I've never had any of those chaos monger intrusive thoughts that are like, well, what if you threw a baby out of their stroller? But when a rice rocket is swerving in between cars, and I see them speeding up to overtake me, I gotta white knuckle it for a second and I cut them off. Can't stand those little dingleberries. These freaks have been coming up from all over the place under DeSantis. And feeling entitled to do whatever they want, and the cops never pull them over for doing 120 and 55. I mean, you know, I suppose the people that they're most endangering is themselves, but at the end of the day, it's funny when you get tickets for going 10, 15 over in the past, and then you see this just nonsense going on. It's just like, well, we had a new change of management, so consistent rules, well, they're only arbitrary, right? Yeah. In a way, that is what a private company is programmed, set up to do. They don't care about society's laws. They just care about, you know, say, for instance, Eddie Lampert, Yale Skull and Bones, and alumni, he didn't do anything at all to build up Sears as a company. He took Sears, he bought it with money that wasn't his own, that he didn't earn. He used venture capital to secure Sears, legacy company that built America, and he liquidated it. He destroyed every bit of it, and he tried to suck up every last bit of wealth into his personal bank accounts and the bank accounts of the people that he owed money for lending them more stolen money that they also stole. And I'm not saying necessarily like they stole it exclusively from poor people, but it wasn't theirs alone. It existed in a firm, so it is invested all over the world, and that firm's purpose is to make more liquidity, which is instantaneous cash that can be moved around at a very fast rate instead of something that's in the ground, established, and is going to be something that people can count on. It's not liquid. And so, the entire thing that this venture capitalist system does is steal. Steal, liquidate, take that money, use it to steal some more, liquidate some more. And through that process, that is how crony capitalism, as they call it, is destroying our country. There's no really argument that anybody can really levy against that other than screaming at you that by saying such points, you're a communist. But if you don't work for those companies and you're purporting such sort of arguments against that criticism, then you are the textbook definition of a cuck. Since they are the ones effectively abusing to their own personal gains your country, and you're saying, thank you, sir, may I have another? Something to avoid. You know, I'm going through and I'm taking a lot of physical notes for my Kiwi tier project, and I'm really stuck on Null. This guy's done so much bad stuff throughout the years, dating back to being a kid with unrestricted internet access. But I'm also very much cast in the mold of everyone deserves a second chance. When you sit and you think on it like I do, truly, whom amongst us can say we've never acted foolishly, or shortly, or invited negativity on ourselves just to feel something? Who's never hurt anyone? Who's never said any lie? Who's never led anyone on? Who among us is free of sin? I think everybody is worthy of mercy and forgiveness. The only question to ask concerning judgment is, if I were to act against them, would it prevent further suffering down the line? And there are points to levy against Null in this vein. I will say, H3H3 did a surprisingly good job of defending himself. He put on a suit, stopped twitching so much, which I personally believe he twitches because he's on drugs, not because he was born, with some issue. I, too, have had tics toes curling, finger snapping repeatedly, tics that I couldn't get rid of because of ADHD medication and being on it for multiple years. I genuinely believe that he just does drugs in front of people, and that's why he sniffs all the time. He's just sniffing all the time, and he's twitching all the time, and his eyes are big and wide, and sometimes they're acting a little weird. I genuinely believe H3H3 is a chronic drug user, maybe a polydrug user, but very likely in the vein of stimulants if he is a polydrug user and not just addicted to stimulants. And I think that he lowered his dosage a little bit so that he could respond to this spear that was thrown at him and struck him in the chest unawares while he was just casually going about his business. And it did land pretty hard. Like, I'm not gonna lie, 7 million views in 2 weeks. That's a pretty substantial blow, especially when nothing that you've made gets higher than 1.5 million. That's a substantial blow. And it's crazy, as I said before, that the man has 5 million subscribers and only can get like 1.5 million on just like the most important thing going on in his sector at any given time. Just a lot of those are just, empty accounts. It's not like I get 70 views on every video, but a lot of the people from my early, 35, 40 subscribers subscribed a long time ago, probably forgot about it. And I am very grateful of my my new subscribers. Hey guys, welcome. Guys and gals, welcome along. Happy to have you. Hope to make your brain tingle. That's what I hope. But here's the thing. Talking circles around Hassan Piker will impress older people more than younger people. iDubbbz's content deputy response was pretty weak. It came off as strong as Ethan's original improvised responses, which just goes to show that the original content comp was worked on for a while. It was something that was in production for, I would say, several months, if not close to a year, and then it was levied. And there's nothing like that, in the ammunition behind it. However, that's all most people in this. There's going to be 6 million people. 6 million people that see the content comp and don't see a single response to that particular video from H3H3. That's just how it's going to be. It's going to be 6 million people, bare minimum, because who knows how many of that same group of 7 million people are actively watching anything that H3H3 has to do. And when things like this happen, it ultimately does give people like Ethan a bigger support base. Even if you gain a little bit out of a lot of criticism, where do the critics go? They go off, they do something else. Some people were introduced to you that never saw you before, and that little sandwich of people there that are not completely uninterested and not hate you, but are just being introduced to you for the first time, that's more support for you. So as I said, you shouldn't release 5 videos in a week and start dressing nicer and doing stuff like that because people criticize you. You should do them because you want to, right? You shouldn't be reactive to people trying to get a rise out of you. You should be proactive in the things that you know you're good at, in the streams of consciousness or action that you follow. It's advice that I tenured like a week ago. It's advice that I still tenure now. I noticed Ethan never talked about the skulls. Likely because he knows the ice around that gay op is pretty thin. At the end of the day, it's just 3 retards fighting. And personally, I hope everybody involved in this dies. I will say, the people going out of their way to defend Ethan over a betrayal, when Ethan himself says they weren't friends, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. I love virtue signaling from people who are 2 hours before, we're like laughing at mothers screaming as their children are ripped out of their arms by ice. And then like 2 hours later, they're just like, oh my gosh, you betrayed this poor innocent Jewish man who has Tourette's. And oh gosh, I can't believe you did that. Who could do this? This person is so mean. This person is cruel and heartless. Oh, guys. Oh, I'm not even going to tell you what to do. I want you to burn yourself up on your own. Keep burning the candle at 3 different ends at the same time, please. Oh, but gosh. Oh, it really makes you hurt right in the center of your skull. Right in the center of your brain. Because that's the part that contains the soul, and your soul is just like, oh, gosh, guys. Is what it is. You know, people say Aborigines suck because they look weird, but they're actually pretty wholesome compared to some. All they need is a little sniffer of petrol and a warm road to lay down on, and they're good. We all know the most annoying people, right? We all know what they look like and what they act like and how they demand everything in the world and are still not happy even when they're given to them on a silver platter. We all know the most annoying people. And funny enough, that's chosen. That isn't a path that's destined by birth. That's something that people actively choose. Which is Zionism, of course. I'm going to just come out and say it. Zionists are the most annoying people. Not Jews, Zionists. I know Catholic Jewish people, right? But Zionists are somebody who has seen what's behind the curtain in the cult, which is to say they're sinking knives into the chest of children, and they went, that looks like a good investment to make. And that is ultimately the crux of my main criticism with Null, and why I didn't really care much about him until I found out, like, oh, this guy actually went off the deep end in regards to Israel. So, like, that is not a good investment, my dude. You are not going to just, like, sweep that under the rug once the Palestinian people are gone. You're not going to eliminate enough people to make that morally acceptable on the world stage. The only option is failure or Samson option. That's the only options available. And Samson option does not discriminate depending on who kissed Netanyahu's ass and who didn't. It's where the nuke's landing and, you know, what's your preparation. They got bunkers that go down 15, stories over in Tel Aviv area. What do you got? Because they're not going to give you those. They're not going to let you into their fallout bunkers because you defended them online. So I'm just saying, it's not a good investment. Oh well, people can make bad investments if they want to. That's their choice. I wouldn't want to take people's free will away from them. A lot of people who will be first to help you will also side-eye you when you're genuinely doing it to yourself. Because coming from school and medicine and childcare, they have the wisdom to know you gotta look out. Like, you gotta have your own back. You gotta make the right decisions because you want to, not just because you're whacked over the knuckles with a ruler when you don't. Like, when I see somebody I respect, Null, for instance, pulling down their pants and thrusting full hog into a fire ant mound while laughing at people saying laughing at the people saying we gotta treat that before it spreads. It's just like, okay, bro, I'll catch you in a year or two. We'll see. And when you're ready to straighten up, I'll be here to help. Because that's what I do. Dead Facebook comment section on AI slop page on internet theory. It's so real, bro. I might be the only person on all of Facebook that isn't a bot. It's also my birthday and nobody came to my party. Please share. Won't you care? What in the hell is mudlarking? I keep seeing that term. Why do I keep seeing the homeless people in the States digging through muck and slime and runoff areas for literal trash? That goop has chemicals in it. But thanks for circulating it, I guess? I'd rather you not. While it is true that the cruelest, most sadistic yuppies in our country hurl themselves in front of a bus over very tepid criticism of figures like Elon Musk, there are a lot of decent, usually older people who like him too. They just haven't been through what everybody else has. Which is going, aren't you the guy that lies about literally everything? Hyperloop, Neuralink. Aren't you supposed to already be on Mars like 3 years ago? What gives? Yeah, I totally believe the Hugh Hefner sex trafficker conspiracy theory. He was the goonerest part of the greatest generation's Jeffrey Epstein. The Gen X Epstein's probably like, I don't know, Ryan Gosling. You look lonely. The millennial Epstein is probably Destiny. So it's pretty much confirmed that Mossad is in their flop era, which is why they now are getting their hands dirty instead of expecting everybody else to do it for them. Oh, and one last little bit of advice I'll tenure before I leave. Look out for anybody using the term exotic. It's often used in cars and stuff, but the word is most often used by scumbag dog breeders, and poachers. So look out for the term exotic. It doesn't really mean anything. A better term for exotic when you're talking about plants is invasive. Another term for exotic is foreign in regards to cars. So look out for the term exotic. Sometimes it's used to mean extreme inbreeding in dogs. All right, y'all. Good for today. Sorry I wasn't there yesterday. I spent a lot of time in the garden, went shopping, like my new tie. And, yeah, just didn't have enough notes. It's whatever. Some days I just won't have enough notes to throw together an episode. If I can't throw together 10 minutes worth of an episode and not have it be, somewhat substantial, I won't upload it. All right, y'all. Cheers.